Okay, here is a model CT-1 combination talking book record player and 4-track auto-reverse cassette player. These were loaned to the blind and physically handicapped for the purpose of reading talking book records. This model is from 1993 and was made by Telex Communications for the Library of Congress. And if you've watched my older videos, you know that I collect older talking book playback equipment, and I'm also a user of the talking book program. And this is one of the later models from the 1990s. By the end of 2000, they had done away with records and switched entirely to cassette. Well, now cassettes are a thing of the past, and now everything's on digital cartridges. These combination machines were not that common. Most patrons had the separate phonograph and the standard C1 cassette player, which you've seen in some of my older videos. Now I'll give you a brief look at the control. This is our volume control, this is our tone control, this is our speed selector for both the phonograph and tape player. To the left is either 15/16 IPS for the tape or 8 1/3 RPM for the phonograph. To the right, it's 1 7/8 IPS for the tape or 16 2/3 for the phonograph. Red slider is our speed control. All the way, our pitch control, I should say, all the way to the left is slow. Our D10 is normal. All the way to the right is fast. And in order to play a 33 RPM record, you set this switch to the right and move the red slider all the way to the right. Okay, our green switch is our function switch. To the right is cassette. Center is off. Left is phonograph. This is our reverse button for both the cassette and the turntable. This is our forward button for the cassette and the turntable. On the side we have some more switches and jacks. This is our auto reverse defeat switch for those who may not want the tape to auto reverse. In the auto reverse mode, you can listen to all 4 tracks of the tape, up to 6 hours worth of listening, without having to touch the machine. This switch here is to manually change tracks if the user should decide to. Maybe for some reason in the middle of a tape the user would want to listen to another track, so he or she can just push this button and accomplish that. And on the side we have some jacks for remote control, which is for an all-phone switch, remote all-phone switch for persons confined to bed or whatever. And we have our 2 headphone jacks for both the small headphone plug and the larger plug, as well as auxiliary input and output jacks. I don't think the input jack is really used for anything, but the output jack is handy if you want to feed this unit to an external tape recorder or to an external amplifier, or in today's world, if you wanted to archive these talking books to digital format, you could use the auxiliary output jack for that. Now, I'll give a little demonstration here. We'll start with the cassette. We have our switch set to cassette mode. We have our tape loaded. And to start the player, you just simply pull the door forward until it clicks.
Side 3, tone 1, 16 minutes. KEF R series speaker system.
There's our volume.
2, side 3, tone 2, 14 minutes. SBS PC13.
Our pitch control.
Page 55, side 3, tone 3, 12 minutes.
Now, if I want to fast forward to a certain part of the tape, now a lot of these cassette tapes are tone indexed, so if you want to get to a certain part of the tape, you just hold the button down until you hear a tone.
Next debut carbon turntable, outfitted with an Ortofon 2M red.
Here's our reverse button.
There you have it. test of that.
Okay, now if I want to switch tracks, I just hold this little button on the side down until it beeps.
Positive response. I'm not bothered by the absence
of track 2
TV or smart TV feed. In the castle's north tower, the set's shadow detail and black depth, thirst, hunger, and temperature. Any one of them gets too low. Right to setting up.
Now we're back to track 1.
Elicited many a positive response. Backlight.
And if you've noticed, the number of beeps lets the user know what track they're on.
I'm not bothered by the.
So that's track number 3.
We're both good enough.
Okay, and now I'll demonstrate a record. Move the switch to phonograph. Now this tone arm does not lift like most record player arms. It presses down and you have a guide. When you feel the tone arm stop, you gently release it.
Physically handicapped, and is distributed free to blind and physically handicapped individuals who participate in the Library of Congress free reading program.
This is an 8 1/3 RPM record.
Available through a national network of
Here's our pitch.
Information about development activities and library services
is also included. Subscription information is
Here's
located
our forward
on the
button.
inside of the back cover. Library of Congress.
Now, if you want to move to a certain portion of the record, you locate the little rectangular opening on the tone arm. That disables the guide, and you press down until you swing the arm to the desired spot, and then gently release it.
Taft Jr., Republican, Ohio, compares.
And here's our reverse button. Admittedly, that's not very good for the record groove to continuously do that.
12 years ago, Republican, Ohio, compares its awards to
and this turntable has an auto stop feature, so when it gets to the end of the record, it will automatically stop the motor. And then whenever you want to return the tone arm to its rest, you just press it down and swing it back until it locks. Now here's a 16 RPM record, and this also has the record guides that will help enable a blind person to place the disc on the turntable. So set that to 16, press our tone arm down, gently swing it over until it stops.
Same material. Instructions for talking book users. Each side of this record contains exactly the same material. Side 1, the Braille side, is recorded at a speed of 33 1/3 revolutions per minute.
This is the record you would have gotten back in the 60s if you were a new user of the talking book program. And this
Ecclesiastes are just as true today as in biblical days. And the making of many these are just as true today as in biblical days.
And here are our instructions for the machine in both Braille and large print. There was also a cassette that came with these machines, but unfortunately I didn't get that. And I assume this 4093 is a date code, probably 40th week of 93, and this was indeed made by Telex Communications. And I think some of these units had a built-in rechargeable battery. Even though this one does, I'm sure it's long dead by now. And there you go, the model CT-1 combination talking book record and cassette player. Hope you got something out of this, and we'll do something else again in the near future.